A lot of you loved my old wall garden, which was galvanized buckets on this hanging rack using clear solo cups as liners, but for my new apartment, I decided to go with something more versatile, and you'll want to stick around for the final results because I promise it turns out well. I'm still building the wall garden behind the same accent cabinet, and after spending a little time measuring everything out, I came back with these brackets and tried to take the easy route by nailing them into the wall, but quickly realized that's a horrible idea. So I came back with these drywall anchor screws that I already had and should have used to begin with, but as you can see, the bracket's not going anywhere now. Now I'm sure you're wondering what the brackets are for. I previously mentioned that I want something more versatile, so to achieve that, I'm using a grid wall panel for this setup. I'll be growing my plants in these mason jars, and to attach them, I'm using leather and these tiny hooks to create straps. I have a separate video that shows you step by step how to make these straps, but to sum it up, I cut the leather 7 7/8 of an inch long and poked a hole 1/4 of an inch from each end to insert the hooks. Also, you can find the supplies used in this video in my Amazon storefront under my list titled DIY Wall Garden. Each strap hooks onto the grid wall like this. And before adding the plants, I decided to raise the light on the cabinet setup, and this is just an old garment rack that I took apart and attached to a piece of wood. The reason why I went with mason jars is because I'm using the crack key growing method with leca as my growing medium. The crack key method is a form of passive hydroponics where your plant is suspended over nutrient-rich water. Leca is expanded clay pebbles that wick up water to the roots, but you can skip the leca entirely and use clone collars, or even do a combination of both. I tend to grow a lot of plants like this because I am so bad about watering plants in soil. I also found that my plant roots quickly outgrew the galvanized buckets of soil shown at the beginning of this video, but when growing with the crack key method, I can easily trim the roots to keep the plants in these jars longer. The major advantage to using a grid wall panel is you can arrange the plants however you want and move them around as they grow. I also plan on using this as a trellis for climbing plants like the pea shown here. A disadvantage to this setup is because the jars are transparent near this bright light, the water has an increased risk of developing algae. I really wanted amber colored jars like this, but they don't seem to make them in the 16-ounce size. I noticed the middle wasn't getting enough light, so I added a very low wattage grow light to brighten it up. And then I decided to do a little experiment on this side to see if adding a piece of copper to the water will slow down algae growth. Here's a side view. The nice thing about the panel being a couple inches from the wall is the plants get more airflow and room to grow. And then here's the finished product with plants added to the tabletop. But let me know if you have any questions, and be sure to like and follow for more indoor garden ideas.